Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jamie O'Brien with O'Brien Homes coming to you on Good Friday with my good friend, mentor, Scott Deaton with Deaton Realty. Uh, Again, our point of these video conferences really is just to try and bring you guys some content on what's happening with the Birmingham market, really just try and provide value from perspectives. I don't know if I'm supposed to do legal disclaimers or what, but we're not offering any tax, legal, or any other advice. No services offered are better than anybody else. And these are just opinions. So, I mean, take it for what it is. We're just trying to come to you with a little bit of experience. Scott is a good friend of mine. Like I said, he's been a mentor, really taken me under his wing over the last few years and been a great grounding point for me as I've been going through this real estate journey for the last couple of years. I guess really, Scott, I just want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, by the way. My name is Scott Deaton with Deaton Realty, and I've been in real estate for a little over 32 years. I started with Bishop Real Estate. I was there for 5 years. I was Summit Realty for 25 years, and then I started Deaton Realty in November of 2018. Seeing a lot of different markets, seeing a lot of different things go on. And the basis of my business is basically helping commercial investors, residential investors. I do retail, residential sales. I don't do any leasing other than commercial leases, Tom. And so anyway, just have a real good feel of the market, real good feel of, the things that are going on, and seeing a lot of things happen through the years.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here is I know at least when I come to you with concerns or questions or, even talking about a deal that we're looking at, you do a really good job of bringing a perspective from a 10-year of experience over the last 31 years, or 32, I think you said. So you always are good about kind of grounding me on the reality of the situation, that markets are cyclical, that things go up, come down, they come back. It really kind of help keep me grounded. So I appreciate you coming on. You've been a great resource to me. And so, with that experience and having been through, a lot of different things, I guess I'd just like for you to talk a little bit about your opinions and your thoughts on kind of where we are right now and what's happening not only in the world, but in this real estate market.
Absolutely. One of the things I want to let people know is with every market that's come along, there's always been opportunity. As a matter of fact, most real estate investors that you read, they'll tell you, a lot of times investors do much better down markets than they do in up markets, which is usually always true. I wasn't around in real estate in 79 to 81, but, in that period of time, interest rate went from somewhere around 6% all the way up to 21%, which freaked everybody out. And, you had to create financing. You had to do all different things to help make real estate still sell. And there's always reasons people sell. In residential real estate, it can be, because the family's grown, you want to get into the school system. You get divorced, you get married, people die. There's all reasons why people sell. So there's always a need like that, which is all supply and demand. So there's always time, man. There's always those things happening, no matter what's happening in the rest of the world. And in the 2008, or 2007, 2009 crisis, when the real estate bubble took place, hit through the market in chaos. There were a lot of banks going on because right now people don't know what commercial banks will be able to do. Private lending, right now has gone up, on their prices just because they're not sure what they're going to do. But that's what people do in times of crisis. They become a little more reserved, but at the same time, opportunity continues to present themselves. and in different ways. So there's no time out there anymore where there's so many people who are not working, even though there are a lot of people working from home. There are a lot of businesses that are literally shut down. And, if you want a hair salon, if you want a restaurant that's offering the curbside service, if you own a bar, all these different businesses are just shut down. Any venues that you have that bring in hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, all those are being shut down. So, the question is now is, where do we go from here, and how does this affect investment real estate? I believe personally that investment real estate is going to be very good over the next year to 2 years, because I believe that a lot of people are going to have to sell, not because they want to sell, but because they're going to have to sell. And in some cases, again, you still have these, things that happen. People getting married, people have divorces. You have probate. When people die. So there's all of these things that are still in play. Those things don't ever change. So always know that no matter how bad the market is, things will change. They will turn around. And when they're in doing well, those markets change too. And we've been one of the craziest residential selling markets that I've ever seen. I've never seen houses go on the market and have, like 10 contracts in one day. One agent told me, and this was on an investment house, that she said that she had 33 offers on one house in one day. I've never heard of that. That's like unheard of. Usually, if you get 1 or 2 contracts, you're pretty happy as a seller, but to have 33 offers, that's a lot of offers to go through. So anyway, so right now, retail, sales are still going well. They still sell relatively quickly. A lot of people are a little fearful. They don't want necessarily people coming through their house that they don't know, and, because they don't know how or where those people have been. And because, we've been given a lot of information about things, hang the surfaces and stuff like that. You don't know if they touch something. So there's a lot of people that are afraid to let people come in their houses. There are a lot of people that are afraid to go into other people's houses because they don't know. So, just the fear factor of that going through. But if you remember these things, a lot of actual techniques that are out now. There are people who, you've always had drone shots about sides of homes, but now people are starting to do drones actually going through the house. Obviously, Matterport is another way to, show a house so that people can do it online. At some point in time, people are going to want to actually see the house itself, before they do it. Even though I have had people that purchase homes and they never, saw them. Somebody else saw it for them, and they went ahead and bought it based on what they told. So there are, buy and see type deals that go on. Don't know if you've noticed in the mortgage industry, they had things where they're setting up video conferencing. Here in the state of Alabama, they said that you can view a notary. You can view a notary, that's able to, sign a document by video. You can do it, as recorded right now during this period of time. So there's all kind of different things that have been switched around to make it easier for people to, still do business in the real estate world. And I personally think that, all this will blow over. It will all, again, we'll go out of this market, and where we go from here is really going to be based on how well people are able to get back into work and how well people are able to get their companies back up and running. We may see the same kind of thing. We may see a lot of businesses go out of business because they didn't have enough. And, even though the government's trying to help, with SBA loans or whatever, that could be a thing. The other thing I can tell you, from if we have any commercial investors listening or anybody that is interested in the commercial world, back in 2006, commercial was just, I mean, it was just booming. I mean, retail centers were being built everywhere. Out parcels were selling like hotcakes. And then all of a sudden, when the crunch came, all those places, a lot of places dried up, literally. And so then you had to find, how to fill these big spaces with, when you didn't have as many big companies around anymore, because a lot of those big companies went out. So what happened is retail became much smaller. The buildings they build now are much smaller retail centers. So people aren't building as much land. As far as new construction, what I've talked to with my builders and things like that. At one time, they would build a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It could be a 5 to 10 year project. Now, most all of them will only do like a 30 to 50 acre tract of land, and they want to be out of the market from the time they purchase the land to the time they sell the last house. They only want to be in it 2 years. Because a lot of them got burned, during that other market. So not only do we have these changes, we have, people learn from these changes, and then they do things, and eventually people forget and they'll loosen up and they'll go right back around, and that's why markets are cyclical. That's why markets come back around. They always have a way of coming back around to, when you loosen interest rates. When I first started selling real estate, interest rates, the average real estate interest on a home mortgage was 12 to 13%. Right. And when we saw 10%, we thought like, oh man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. When we saw it go down to 8%, we were going, are you kidding? It can't go any lower than that. It went down to 6%. I thought the end of the world would come. I really did. I was like, I never thought I would see that in my lifetime. And now, the interest rates have held at like, 3 to 4%. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, they dropped it down to 2.5%. They had so many people refinance.
Oh, I think I lost you there a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Had a little technical difficulty there, but Scott, you were just talking about interest rates and how they hit a got to be historical low of about 2.5%, and the amount of refinances that were coming from that. So sorry to kind of throw you off. You were there's so much good information to unpack in there, and I want to do that, but continue with that thought process if you can.
Absolutely, and when it went down to 2.5%. Now this is only a couple of weeks ago, right? So $11 billion flooded the market, and the market couldn't keep up with it. T-bills and bonds and all those things, they just could not keep up with it. So they had to raise the interest rates, back up. And then everybody, that didn't get in on it was going, well, they kept saying, well, maybe it'll go lower. Maybe it'll go lower. Listen, if I can give you any advice, and interest rates are like at levels they are normally not at, but when they're very low levels, don't wait. Yeah. Do not wait. Well, if you got the opportunity, seize the opportunity. And so anyway, so those are the things that we're seeing in the market. There are people that are still moving forward. There are a lot of investors I've talked to that do a lot of fix and flips, similar to what you do. That they're pulling back. They're kind of waiting to see if there's if there are enough people that are bringing in enough money, because right now, from what I understand from lenders, they're a little more strict on their credit scores. They want to see good credit scores, and obviously they want people to be gainfully employed. So that is one of the reasons that some of the buyers and flippers are drawing back a little bit. The investors who buy, rehab, and turn out a renter in there and then sell it to another investor and then retain management. Those guys are wrapped up. They're ready to go. They said even if they have to hold it for a year, so I'm not talking to, said they are willing to hold it for a year. They have to, because they know it's going to come back around. They know it's going to come back around. So if there are buying opportunities there, still lining up their product lending. They're just, having to, make some good decisions. And even to the point where there was 1% rule that the rent 1% of everything that you had in it, your purchase and your rehab, and your rent to be able to, or the rent to be 1% of that, less than $100,000, $1,000. Now they're, laying out on that a little bit. They're going to 900, 950, and investors are buying. So there's just a lot of things. People always adapt. People always adapt with the times. The people who are leading edge and creators, everyone get out there and get happen first. And you obviously have a very creative mind, have a very strong drive, and so I have no doubt that going to do great things. And
I appreciate that.
I believe that we're going to have a lot of prosperous times ahead. I really believe that.
Yeah. And so man, there was so much information in there. I'm going to apologize to you guys. There's a little bit of technical difficulties going on and some audio, at least on my end. I'll replay this and see if we can clean it up. But I think there was so much good information in that we could go way over time trying to unpack it. And so part of my goal is just to talk to a lot of different people. I definitely want to kind of bring you back and dig into some of these topics specifically. But I mean, I guess one last question before we kind of move to wrapping it up, because I think you honestly answered a lot of where I was going to go with some of those questions. I guess I want to ask just two things, just real quick opinions. If you're talking to an investor, let's say someone like me, I don't hold a huge book of flips on the books. I don't have a lot of outlying capital. What would be your advice to them at this point in time?
Go by what you feel your own risk is, but educate or hedge your risk. Make sure that, what you're buying, in worst case scenario, if you couldn't flip it, that you could hold it as a rental and make it through a year. Sure. So definitely hedge your risk. You don't want to, go out and, if you've only done, let's say 2 houses in a year, you don't want to go try to do 10 this year, and then, be completely so leveraged out that you wind up losing them.
Right.
So definitely hedge your risk. And I think number 2 would be to just keep, your ear to the ground. Talk to other people. Investors are usually from the community. They're usually willing to they won't show or tell everything, but they're willing to help. And there's a lot of mentors that are more than happy to share their advice with you. So get their advice, and obviously having a great team is key. Having an attorney you can count on, having a tax professional you can count on, having a real estate professional you can count on, having a title company you can count on. All those surveys, termite, all those things are key to making things work. And you want to have people that you can depend on. And then obviously, if you're doing the rehab, you got to have a great construction team as well. Right.
No, that all makes sense, and definitely areas that I plan to try and continue to better myself as far as the team. But luckily, I feel like we have a pretty good team right now, and that's only going to continue to grow. I totally agree with you. I mean, we're still looking to buy properties. We're evaluating them a little more stringently, adding, we have to add a little more cushion right now. That's just kind of where we're at. So just switching gears, because I want to kind of cater this to not only the investor market, but also just the retail market. If you had a buyer or a seller that was selling retail, was interested in selling retail right now, I mean, what advice would you give to them, or kind of what would you tell them?
I would tell them, definitely make sure that you take your normal precautions. Like if somebody's walking, through your home or whatever, do your normal cleaning of the Clorox, the Lysol. I know those things not necessarily easy items to find right now. But and then if you're looking at a home as well, be respectful. Wear the gloves, wear the mask. The different things. Don't touch a lot of surfaces. Things like that. We can all still do this and still do it safely and still do it in a way and I think things are looking up. I think things are turning around personally. So I think that we're going to be pulling out of this pretty soon. But it's just you've got all the information out there. Just if you want to listen to the professionals' advice, that would be the best way to do it. And I personally think it's going to be fine. But everybody's got to use their own judgment and how they feel. I know some people that let you come the 60, they let you go like you may have to wave at them from the driveway or something. So it just varies.
Well, good. And that's part of why, I'm doing this as well, is I'm hoping I'm going to try and do it for at least 30 days. My goal is to do it after, until we get out of this mess and kind of get back to a new normal. I guess my hope is that that's within 30 days. It'll put us mid-May, and just kind of follow what's going on, and really give people an idea. Cause I think there's just so much uncertainty out there right now. People obviously are stuck in their homes for the most part, and probably watching too much news, in my opinion, and taking in way too much social media, which we know can be good, but also can have a lot of bad information out there. And so just kind of do your due diligence. Well, Scott, I don't want to make this too long right now. I'm definitely going to have to bring you back as we get further into this and dig into some of these things a little bit more. But I guess I just want to give you an opportunity to give any final thoughts, and also tell people how they can find you, how they can connect with you, and if they want to learn any more, if they have any questions, how they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. Best way to get me is my cell phone, area code 205-515-8818. If you want to email me at scott1@gmail.com. Do the Facebook page. I got to tell you, I'm not the best in the world. I'm not very technological savvy. So, my Facebook page may not give you a lot, but I'm going to do better at that. So definitely look me up, and would love to help, anybody. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Good. And so that I'll post those in the video, because I think your email cut out a little bit, but it's scottdeaton1@gmail.com, if I remember correctly. So, and again, we're O'Brien Homes on Facebook, on Instagram. The easiest way to get us is to leave us a message there. If you're in need of selling a home, if you're in a spot that you just don't know what to do, you can find our website at jamie@jamiebuyshousescash.com, or just shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram. We'll be happy to help answer any questions you have. Again, I told you in the first video, to me, this is a people business. I'm in this to help solve problems. I'm never going to try and take advantage of anyone. I want to give you your options. And if that option, your best options to allow us to buy your home, great. If not, then we'll give you whatever options we think are best for you. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Scott, for being the first guest in this series. I'm definitely going to get you back on later on.
I feel privileged. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too, man.